Hello everyone, welcome to another edition of VAFA Tragics. Great to have your company for another week. Great to be talking some VAFA footy with this man, Nick Armistead. A huge weekend of footy.
It was a huge weekend of footy. I was at the Bernards Carey Premier B Grand Final
disappointment, really, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Outside the first 15 minutes, it was a pretty scrappy match. But I just wanted to start off by asking when the dress standards here at the Tragics dropped. You're very casual today, very vibrant, colourful.
Don't like my shirt?
No, I actually do like it, to be perfectly honest. It is a bit out there though.
That's good. I think we can broaden it away from the standard blue shirt, blue jacket that you go with every week.
Yeah, I don't mix it up very
You're doing
often,
a bit of a Carl Stefanovic, just wearing the same outfit every week to see if anyone notices.
See if anyone notices. You're the first one. Congratulations. Well done.
Very good. What was your highlight from the weekend?
Well, I know I gave them the win of the week last week, but Masala Dandenong have gone one better, if not 1,000 times better. They've defeated St Francis Xavier by 3 points on the weekend. They've won 2 in a row for the first time in that club's history in the senior competition. And by beating St Francis Xavier, they played finals last year. Masala on a roll. You can see the footage here. They are really getting into the song. They are up and about at the moment, the Tigers.
Whereabouts are they based again?
Dandenong.
Masala. They've added the name Dandenong.
Yeah, they did.
My highlight from the weekend, OM's Twitter account. In fact, all clubs' Twitter accounts, they're getting on board with showing footage from the game and crucial goals at crucial times. I love this. This is, I think, Beefy Borthwick's goal. OM sealing it pretty much against Collegians, and just the commentary with it as well in the Twitter account. I think that's what we want to see more from particularly Resi's players. If they're sticking around watching.
Yeah,
Get on your phone, post some stuff, hand over your social media account.
And a little bit of commentary in the background adds so much to it.
Yeah, get around it, show everyone getting pumped up. Let's swing into William Buck Premier to kick things off. The result of the round, I think, was no doubt Zavs defeating St Kevin's.
Yeah, well, Zavs have now won 2 in a row. I know they're sitting second on the ladder to St Bernards, but they are looking ominous. They are looking super scary. They've kicked 6 goals to 1 in the opening term, exactly what they did last week. They led most statistical categories with 89 more disposals.
How much are you loving the stats?
I am absolutely loving the stats. I'm flogging them at every opportunity. Obviously, had our technical glitches last week, but this week was fantastic.
Not a technical glitch in round 1.
I know, it's unheard of with VAFA Media.
Very unusual.
Rowan Buick is on fire. He had 30 and 3 last week. He's got another 28 and 2 goals this week. Jason Holmes dominated with 58 hitouts. And Jared Waite, on the opposite side of things, has gone one better again this week. He's kicked 5 goals for St Kevin's.
Very good. Well, I think it's good because Scobbs have obviously dominated for the last 2 years. It's good to have an early loss amongst the thing to throw the competition wide open. De La Salle got on the board against Old Brighton, which leaves them winless.
Yeah, Old Brighton, surprising too. I mean,
you tipped them for the 4, didn't you?
Yeah, I did, absolutely. And Harry Hill for the Woodrow.
Yeah.
Don't think he's had 2 standout games, but they've been in 2 thrillers already. De La Salle obviously losing last week to Carey in that great game, but this week getting over the top. They were leading by 14 points at 3/4 time. Brought it within 1 point, Old Brighton, but then Ryan McDonough settled and it was all good for them. No Tom Humphrey, no Jake Williams, which makes their win even better for D-La.
Another winless side is Old Trinity going down to Blues. Blues are looking good. A better start to the year for them as well.
Oh yeah, Blues are on fire. And we've always said it, they've got the talent there and they've obviously brought in more talent in terms of Cam O'Shea, Josh Green, all these former AFL players. Ultimately, if they click under Heath Jamieson, which they look to be doing, they're absolutely dying. I had something for you here. I've got the 2010 AFL draft. I just want to reel off a couple of names for you.
Sure.
At number 27 was Kieran Harper.
Good player.
32, Josh Green.
Handy.
39, Jeremy Taylor.
Pretty good.
52, Cam O'Shea.
Yep, helpful.
104, Tom Young.
Don't know much about him.
And an underage priority for the Gold Coast, Piers Flanagan.
Is Tom Young the bloke that played at Collingwood?
Collingwood Western Bulldogs,
that's right. That's right. Yeah, okay, I remember him as well.
So
Piers Flanagan, yep, good player.
As you can tell, University Blues have been looking hard at that 2010 draft. That is unbelievable. That is 7 players from that 2010 draft that they've got running around.
Good ages too. They'll all be about that 26, 27, 28-year-old mark, which is pretty much ideal for the hitting zone if you want to be a really good side, I reckon, in William Buck Premier at the moment. Another team that's without a win and is Collegians. Now, this game was moved from Harry Trott to Wesley College. I would have thought that'd give them a bit of nostalgic representation of being back at the old school, but they couldn't get the job done against Old Melburnians.
No, unfortunately, they couldn't really at all get into the game, and it was the 3rd quarter where OMs have kicked 6 goals to 2, and Hurley Wellington kicked 3 of his 4 goals in that 3rd quarter, but OM's very disappointing outing against Zavs in round 1. Obviously lost Matt Thomas for the season, but they've come out and have answered all, I guess, the critics. They've answered them. Collegians still without a lot of players. They did welcome back Callum Post and Corey Cassidy, which was good. I know Lockie Ferguson's coming back after Easter, but they're still without a heap of their grand final players, so they'll take probably 5 or 6 rounds to get into the season.
St Bernard's win over Old Carey, we touched on it off the top. Great win for them. They tend to do this though, when the year after they come up from Premier B, they tend to all guns blazing in William Buck Premier.
And to be fair, they've probably not played any of the top sides that we think they're going to be the top sides, and they've still got De La Salle in round 3, so they're probably going to go 3-0. De La Salle at the Snake Pit. It'll be interesting, though, after that, when they play the Scobs and the Zabs of the world.
I want to swing quickly to Premier C, because we're going to talk Premier B with Will Edwards, who's our special guest from Caulfield Grammarians after the break. But talking Premier C, Ajax had a first win in a long time.
Yeah, great stuff at Ajax, and great stuff at Adam Andrews, who's now their coach, obviously used to be at Trinity. 8-game losing streak dating back to round 12 last year in Premier B, so they've had 10 players hit the scoreboard. As I said, first win for Adam Andrews, so they're obviously clicking, or starting to click at least under him. I mean, Old Ivanhoe, they're a pretty good opponent. When they turn up on their day, led by Mal Mitras and the boys, they're a good side, so it's a really good win for Ajax.
The Wellers had a 5-point thrilling win over Marsland at Marsland College. Good win for Old Campbell. I reckon they're building something, the Wellers. They sort of showed a bit last year, and they're coming. Yeah,
they absolutely are, and I thought maybe over the off-season, because they lost Ben Hart, and they've lost a couple of other players, so I thought maybe they would just remain there, but they're 6 wins in a row last year. If they can replicate some of that form, and I mean, they were 10 points down at three-quarter time, and against Marshall at Marsland, that's a huge win.
Always a big game, Ormond and Hampton Rovers, when those two sides meet, and it was the Monders that got the job done against the Rovers.
Yeah, the grand final rematch between those two. I don't think we've ever seen a bad match between those two. So Ormond, they're 2-0, so they're looking pretty good. Hampton struggling a little bit in the early part, but they're both Premier C sides, so it's good to see them back in there.
We'll take a break. We've got plenty to get through, including Will Edwards, who's going to join us right after this. Welcome back to the Tragics. As I mentioned before the break, we've got a special guest in. It's Will Edwards from Caulfield Grammarians. Welcome to the panel.
Lenny, Nick, thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on, mate.
It must be nice starting a season with 2 wins.
Yeah, it is good. I suppose going into the Easter break, it's nice to be 2-0, but obviously very early on, so lots of water to go under the bridge just yet. So
you better give us a bit of a background. You're obviously a Caulfield Grammarian originally. You've been away and you've come back. Tell us a little bit about that journey.
Yeah, so I went to Caulfield boy, and then played a couple of years at Caulfield after school, and then went to the EFL with a good mate of mine, Benny Carboni, who was coach at Waverley Blues. So I was there for a few years, and then I was one turn to South in the EFL last year. But yeah, pumped to be back at Caulfield this year with most of my schoolmates. So yeah, really excited to be back.
So from my perspective, I'm always interested. I think a lot of people are. It's just standard. So you're back in Premier B now. Obviously, you're playing a pretty good side. You've had 2 good wins. What's the differences between the 2 competitions?
Yeah, I reckon they're both pretty similar. So Div 2 and Premier B are the same, or the equivalent of the EFL and the VAFA. I reckon the EFL, smaller grounds, more contested type footy, and VAFA I reckon is a bit more uncontested, but it's much quicker. Yeah. Even Haileybury and St Bede's, the 2 games we've had so far.
Well, St Bede's is in a big ground.
Yeah, correct. Well, that's a small ground, but yet the ball was still flying around. So it takes a bit of adjusting, but yeah, both stands have been really good.
What was it against St Bede's that got you guys over the line? Not just over the line, 74 points. You obviously went in there. You knew it was going to be a pretty tough game. They came down from William Buck Premier. So how'd you get it done on the weekend?
Yeah, going in, we knew St Bede's are obviously a really proud club, so they got a few real prime movers in Barnes in there and Tykewood and that sort of stuff. So we knew it was going to be a hot start, and if the plan was to just beat them on the inside, and then the outside would sort of stem from that. So we managed to kick a few early goals, but we were a bit inaccurate in the first half. So if we kicked more accurately, we might have had the game done a bit earlier. But we let them back in a little bit, and they surged in that 3rd quarter. But we were lucky to pull away in that 3rd and 4th quarter.
And how is the feeling around the boys at the moment? I know we're only 2 rounds in, but there seems to be 3 standout teams already: Scotch, Blacks, and yourself, and then basically everyone else. I think we saw it in Premier B a lot last year. It was basically 2 halves to the ladder.
Don't rule out Bowie.
And Bowie as well, yep, correct. So how are you boys feeling? Do you think maybe this is the year you can potentially go all the way?
Yeah, that's definitely the feeling at the club is pretty positive, and we think we've got what it takes to go all the way. But of course, this time of year, very early on, everyone's saying the same sort of stuff. Yeah. So only 2 games gone. Obviously nice to be 2-0 and sitting where we are, but obviously there's many more games to come, so we'll see.
Coming back to Caulfield, now I'll get your reasons for it, but I just want to point out a few things. When we announced it on Instagram last night, you got a fair bit of support from a few of the boys. I think Will Carrington from Old Scotch has just said, took you all of 2 games to basically come on the Tragics. Tommy Quinn, the carry-on. Jess Sinclair, there's a bit going on here. So has it been that type of support that that made you come back to Caulfield in the first place?
Yeah, I think they're just hanging a bit of crap on me there, I think. But no, they're all good fellas, and I used to work with a couple of those guys, so they're all VAFA people. So yeah, good to be back in the VAFA circles.
Looking ahead to the season, obviously the big recruit in the off season was well publicised in a certain 300-game player, Brendan Goddard.
Yeah.
Has he been down to the club? Tell us that he hasn't played a game yet, but tell us about your understanding of how that's going to come about.
Yeah, well, yeah, we're really pumped, obviously, to have him down. He's been at training last week, so he's up having dinner on a Thursday night and cop lots of fines and all that sort of stuff. So yeah, the boys are rapt to have him down. So
expectations on output?
I'm not too sure. I think he's playing as many games as he can. I think the plan was always after Easter because he hasn't done any training or anything like that. So I'm not too sure if that'll be first game or second game after Easter. But even off-field, the stuff he's done, he's been to, I think, 2 or 3 trainings thus far. But the wisdom he's brought to the table and teaching our young guys and giving a helping hand to our coach Punchy is really good. So he's obviously got lots of knowledge from his career in the game, and it's good. He's a Caulfield person, so it's good to get him back. He's got a few mates at the club, so yeah, it's just we're rapt to have him back in the Caulfield colours.
What's he copping fines for?
His
media work?
We've got a bloke at full forward, Keegan Stewart, who you may know, and his boots were battling a bit in round 1, so he had tape all around them. So somehow BJ heard of this and gave Keegan a pair of brand new Nike size 13s for Keegan to wear. So he got a fine for that, and Keegan got a fine, and he came and sat down and had dinner on the Thursday night, and a young bloke, Harry Schaefer, was next to him, and Harry Schaefer got fined for looking like a stunned mullet. So he was a bit nervous, I think, Schaefer. But
how does that go? Anyone fanboying him off the back of the cones and things like
yeah,
that?
you can see the wherever BJ goes, it tends to be the Saints supporters or the Essendon supporters. So we sort of thought that would happen, but it's been good.
Rest of the year, how is? I presume when you're playing AFL, you're expected to play every week. Have you got any holidays? What's the holiday program like mid-year for you? Is that one of the attractions coming back to the VAFA?
It wasn't one of the attractions, but I am going to Europe this year.
Of course. I thought we better check in.
It's just worked well.
Yeah, it worked well. So I've got to go to Europe in July.
How many games are we missing?
I think I only missed 1 or 2.
Are you taking advantage of that double bye that's come back into the VAFA now?
I would have loved to, but I think we booked it prior to the fixture getting released. So I think it actually worked out all right in that the dates worked, so I only missed 1 or 2 games, I think. But yeah,
I presume that's the sort of thing you couldn't really do when you're at the AFL. Is that right? Or is it easy to do or more challenging?
You can. You just got to organise it early, I think.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah, so there's a couple of us going to Europe this year, which should be good fun. So I look forward to it.
Very good. Now, did you have women's teams at your AFL clubs as well?
No.
So what's that like for you coming to a club where you've got women's teams playing as well?
It's great. It's great to see how much it's increased over the past few years. So the amount of people at the club is obviously doubled. We've got 2 teams at Caulfield, so really good to have them part of the club. And obviously events, the tickets sell out like that. You've got to buy tickets in the first hour, otherwise it's you don't get a gig. So we've got a trivia night coming up in a couple of weeks, so I'm told to beware. Apparently they're pretty hectic, so I look forward to that. It'll be a packed house.
Caulfield could become the first ever club to be promoted to Premier in both men's and women's in the same year. Because the girls are in Premier B at the moment, and they're one of the favourites as well. Is that something that gets spoken about, or clearly not, judging by the shot?
I wasn't actually aware of that. But no, we're not talking premierships this early in the year, mate.
We'll
wait for later.
No premierships in April.
No,
correct.
Well, that's true.
It's a great segue. Thanks for coming in, Will. Really appreciate it. Women's footy. We're going to talk that after the break with Alicia. She's going to sit at the desk. Back with more in a moment on the Tragics.
Anytime is the right time to get fit at Anytime Fitness. Access over 400 gyms across the country 24/7 and discover why more Australians train at Anytime Fitness than any other gym. Go online and register now for your free 7-day pass and feel something better.
Welcome back to the Tragics. Time now to talk some women's footy with Alicia Min at the desk. Welcome, Alicia. How was your week?
Very good, Lenny. How was yours?
Oh, it was a stunning week.
Good.
How good's the weather?
So good, and you're dressed for it too. I like the top a lot. I'm going to come back to that. That's a nice top.
Exactly right. If you can wear short sleeves and relaxing summer shirts at this time of year, that's what you want.
Agreed.
The footy's good. The grounds are nice and perfect, really. The grass is smelling, freshly cut grass, no mud yet.
No, it's good.
Ideal.
It is ideal.
Unless it's at Harry Trott.
Well, unless it's Harry Trott, that's why you get games moving. Where are we going to start in women's footy? Obviously, round 2, one and done. Run and one. Where are we going?
Want to talk about Div 4 game. So St Bernard's versus Albert Park on the weekend. Fantastic come from behind win. And we were talking off camera before, and you said, is there anything better than a come from behind win? And I'm not sure if there is. And St Bernard's, the Snow Dogs would definitely agree with that. So they hadn't kicked a goal all match. They were trailing to Albert Park, who were looking the goods to win. I hear that there were talks of printing out the song lyrics heading into the 4th quarter. St Bernard's steamed home.
Let's stop the presses. Printing out the song words. But they didn't know them, or so they're both new teams.
Yeah, correct.
So they needed the song words. Why wouldn't they have them ready anyway? Surely they'd have them ready to go just in case.
I don't know.
It's all no, I believe that it really happened, but maybe that jinxed it too. You just can't. Yeah. You got to assume that they know it.
That is a brilliant story. You buried the lead there.
I know not to bring it up.
Nick said don't bring it up, but I think that's worth bringing up.
Poor Albert Park, poor Tyson Cattle, the poor bloke.
A week's a long time in football. They'll come back. It'll be all right.
Stop the printers. We'll run them again next week. That is fantastic. So come back. Probably not Tiger Woods proportions, but
still pretty good. And what a way to kick off your season with a win.
Because they lost by nearly 100 points last week, didn't they?
A significant loss in round 1. Yeah. Correct. So
great result for both sides. I think hopefully Albert Park will get a win too.
Absolutely.
We want the footage, Albert Park. We want the footage of you singing the song for the first, because I just want to see that song with the little heads down reading the
That's
lyrics.
the dead giveaway, isn't
the dead
it?
giveaway.
Absolutely. So I want to jump onto Williambuck Premiers. I want to talk about Old Trinity really quickly. And another thing Nick told me not to bring up today was, OMG, how about the OTs? They are on fire at the moment. Do you like that?
We're in the green of Old Trinity. I think that's fair enough. In fact, you've got Old Trinity colours all the way through today.
Feels super ganged up.
So they backed up round 1. They played Marsden, obviously runner-up in Williambuck Premier, beat them, and then a resounding 82-point win over the Muggers in round 2. You can't get much better than that to start off your year, and they're particularly.
You're beating last year's grand finalists. It's a great start to the year.
Absolutely, they've got a few outs.
Recruiting. Talk to me about why are they going so well.
I think they've recruited quite well, but I think that their stars, particularly big V rep Imogen Barnett, is just off to a fly. She's their ruck, so she's dominating in the hit outs at the moment, and possessions she's had. Nick loves the stats. I love the stats too. Over 20 stats each week, and just talking about the whole club. They, in both weeks, have got more than 220 disposals as a team. And in context with the rest of the comp, everyone else is averaging around 160. So they're just dominating.
You brought your A game today.
How good is that?
It's a good stat. It's a good stat.
That is a great stat.
Yeah.
This is why stats are great. I tried to get stats up about 6 years ago. I think you've done a great job getting stats off. It's very good.
Nico. Yeah. Yep. So that was brilliant there. And jumping onto some milestones on the weekend as well. So Michaela Harding, absolute ball magnet from 2018. There's no better way to celebrate a milestone than a win, and that's exactly what they did, 29 points over the Roy girls.
Congratulations.
But I have to touch on North Brunswick. We've talked about them a lot, but I don't think any milestone celebration could trump what they did at Allard Park there. Mish Booth went through her banner on an electric scooter. Now, I'm questioning where this electric scooter came from. Tune in right now and have a look at this footage. And also a guard of honour, and the banner reads, "Congrats, Misho, 50 rippers, win this one, and it's off to the strippers." Now, unfortunately or fortunately, they didn't win, so not sure if that actually happened, but they're just having a ball at Allard Park and up and about.
I think we love banners, we love electric scooters, we love catchy lines.
Creativity.
Yeah. Any of this sort of stuff, get it out. Brilliant pickup again. 50 games, I presume not all VAFA games for those two girls as well. So they're club games, exactly right. Great. That is a brilliant synopsis of what's happening in the women's footy. Now you've got to top that next week.
Thanks, Letty. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Alicia. Back to wrap up the show right after this. Back to the Tragics time now for one of our favourite segments, and that is, of course, taking a look across clubs' social media platforms and to ask the big questions to wrap up the show. I'm going to kick things off this week, Nick, if that's all right with you.
Absolutely.
I don't think there is a better image in football than this one, and I know that the Football Media Awards are at the end of the year, St Mary's should submit this photo that you're seeing on screens now of young Tommy Ham. First game back in 3 years. He's broken his leg, unfortunately. And the whole team's got around it with the ambulance in the background. He's got a little ciggy there in his hand as well, just laying back on the stretcher. I think it's one of the best football photos that you're going to see for character of the game. I don't know what the category is, but it has to be submitted. I think it's sensational. I love also Paradians getting behind it as well. They were the vanquished on the day, but they still their support for other clubs on social is sensational. The OPs have done it again, but leverage from St Mary's initial photo.
And also, so he broke his leg, unfortunately, which you said.
Yep.
But they had their beer pong tournament on Saturday night, of which he still attended. He still attended.
Checked himself out of hospital and gone to the beer pong that night.
Sorry, guys, he's on the blue whistle and the dart in the other hand.
Green whistle. Green whistle.
Green whistle.
Yeah.
It looked blue in the photo, so he's got one in each hand, and he's gone to the beer pong tournament.
That is insane. Great all-round performance. More, please.
Yeah, huge.
What are you going with?
For mine, I'm going to Old Brighton and the bench warmer report. So it's not as enthusiastic, perhaps, as St Mary's. Actually, it's nowhere near. They lost to De La Salle on the weekend, and it was a savage podcast. But some of the one-liners were absolutely outstanding. Now,
so it's a podcast they do?
It's a podcast that Fish, one of their older generation.
Have you got audio, or are you just going to read
I'm going to throw to it. No, I'm going to throw to it as a...
Audio?
But according to this edition, he has before been banned from the website, and a few players and cats were safe from the wrath of the benchwarmer in this latest edition.
Well, good morning, Douglas. Not much went right for them this week for them. Now, yesterday was disappointing. A descriptor I'll use only because the ones I'd like to employ would have me banned from the website again for them. I'm struggling with the cliche, it's only a game, Douglas, as I always do when we lose. But when you see blokes on their mobile phone minutes after the game in apparently comfortable conversation with themselves, well, you wonder whether this cliche-ridden generation really appreciates the pain they inflict on their elders when they play poorly. Tom Fisher shed his ridiculous long sleeves at half-time and promptly kicked 2 fine goals before pretty much disappearing after that. The released Lewis booted 3 for the day but never really took over. Mind you, Douglas, the entries in were hardly inspired and lacked both imagination and precision on a day when an unnamed half a dozen were as ineffective as a pie without sauce. I better leave it at that, Doug. Before I blurt out anything I'll regret, the neighbours have provided 2 cats these days I can sink the boots into, and I see that Tabby through the window is taking liberties in my back garden, so I'll clean up that act, even if this one is rather terse.
So, with the election coming up, we need some unbiased reporting. So I love what the benchwarmer's doing, and to keep it up, even if they are losing.
Yeah, I particularly am interested in the North Korean propaganda reports as well. I really enjoy that.
He wouldn't be employed by North Korea.
On to the quick questions to end off the show. James Sampson at Old Scotch. What were his stats on the weekend, please, Nick?
Well, unfortunately, with Premier B, we're not quite getting stats at the moment, but I have looked into this. He got 15 kicks, 6 handballs, and 1 throw. Take a look at this. He's got the push in the back here from Ed Ratcliffe, and he's told Ed, you know what, I'm going to give it back to you, and just throwing the ball straight into his head.
But it's becoming a thing next. You can't push and shove anymore, so the ball back in the head is just becoming a bit prevalent.
And umpires didn't care. Ratcliffe didn't come back at him. To you, Lenny, will any team even get close to Whitefriars this season?
Too early to tell, Nick. Yeah. You know, I'm generally a fence sitter on these sorts of early season prognostications. They're going well. they're going well, the Friars, but we're 2 rounds in.
1 week at a time.
1 week at a time. Which team needs the Easter break the most at this stage of the year?
Westbourne Grammarians, Division 3. Played finals last year, and they haven't started the way they would have envisaged this season. Last week, losing to North Brunswick by 89 points, and this weekend, losing to Manningham, who were quite good again last year, but 76. So things aren't quite going to plan for Westbourne at the moment. I think they'll eat a lot of chocolate over the Easter break and hopefully come back revitalised.
Monash Blues, can I throw into that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. Their 53-point loss to Bowie on the weekend.
After a 74-pointer opening rounder.
The Blacks.
Yeah, so.
To you, Lenny, last one. Who doesn't want the break?
Well, obviously, all the undefeated teams are on a roll, but I'll put into the category at the top end, Old Zavs. I think they're absolutely flying and going great guns. They'll be fine after the break, no doubt, but I just think you don't want to have a break when you're going that well. But the main one is my friends down in Dandenong, Masala Dandenong. They are flying two from 2, and they don't want us to be stopping what their season's doing at this stage.
And where do they play?
They play out of Dandenong.
Dandenong. Yeah. Oh, good, Dandenong.
It's been a good fun show.
It's been good.
We'll see you again after the Easter break. We'll catch you. Enjoy your week off, everyone, in the world of VAFA. Happy Easter, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks' time.